deep down something just told me, just read your email. You get. So going through my email, I just saw a red caption just saying you've been suspended out of the competition. So at that point, my heart just sank because I'm like, I'm trying to read and understand what's happening. And now we enter the second room with just two officials, one of the top ADAC official. So they told me, have you read your email? I just told her like 5 seconds ago. And she just asked me genuinely, like, if I took it knowingly, these are 3 years on the table. And if not, sample B can be tested.
This is Selam and Hello, where stories of joy and justice vibrate with the rhythm of Africa and the diaspora.
Worried anxious group of people trying to move along. Maybe one day we'll get onto something. Until then we say, hold on. I know it's hard, but baby, you just
Selam and hello, everyone. My name is Lilly Bekele-Piper, and welcome to the show. So I hope many of you tuned in recently to watch the World Championships in Budapest. Once again, we saw our East African runners from Ethiopia, from Kenya, top some of the long distance and the short distance races. It was a thrilling competition to watch. And as always, I always feel such pride in being East African when we have these moments at the global stage of athletics. So we're also looking at the Olympics coming up in a few months. And my family, the Olympics is a big deal like it is for most of the world. You know, we have Olympic watch parties, we get together, we make cupcakes in the Olympic colors. It's always, you know, a moment again of national pride, of African pride, as we see some of our best and brightest compete against the world's best. As we get closer to Paris 2024 Olympics, there has been a lot of buzz here in Nairobi about Mark Otieno Odhiambo, one of Kenya's top sprinters that is making his comeback into the running world. If you've been around running circles or watching sports for a while, you know Mark's story. He is a 3-time national champion in the 100 meters. He was a national record holder in that same distance. He represented Kenya at the 2017, 2019, and 2021 World Relays. And in 2021, he received the silver medal at that race. He's also worn the Kenyan colors at the 2017 World Championships, the 2015 All-Africa Games, and at the African Championships in 2016 and 2019. Mark's record and his achievements are well known and well established. But probably many of you also know his story that in 2021, he was denied the opportunity to compete in the Tokyo Olympics after it was detected in his system that there was a banned substance. Those bans, this kind of oversight of the athletic world, is certainly grown in the last few years, yet not always alongside the public understanding of what it means to both be an athlete at an international level, as well as be underneath these guidelines and what kind of expectations there are for you as a high-performing athlete. Mark's ban has just been lifted, and he's ready to race, and he has been competing, and he's getting ready for Olympics in Paris in 2024. And we are so glad to have him on today to talk about his story, what has happened in the last 3 years since he has been dealing with this massive challenge to his athletic career, how he's overcome it, what he's looking forward to next, and basically also advice for all of those young athletes out there who want to be on his level someday. We have a lot to learn from him, and I'm so delighted to welcome Mark Otieno Odhiambo to Selam and Hello. Karibu.
Asante sana. Thank you.
So glad to have you here, Mark.
Yeah, thank you so much.
So I've given a light touch to your work and your history as an athlete, but let's start with what it's like to train and prepare for an Olympic level competition, the Olympics themselves, as well as all of these world championships. Mm-hmm. Take us into like a day in the life of a world-class sprinter like yourself.
I'll say especially training for an Olympic is the highest career of an athlete, followed by World Championships. And I feel like training for an Olympic, which is, it always happens after every 4 years. Mm. And it's quite strenuous, and it's, you have to be very observant, and you have to be out there to really work hard, especially everyone is fighting for that medal. And working for Olympics, for me, it took me 7 years to reach at the Olympic level, because it's been up and down. I tried for the 2016, which I didn't manage to cut, but at least I got a chance to qualify for the 2020 Olympic Games, and I saw how it is to be an athlete, just to prepare for the past 7 years, leading all the way up to the 2021.
So tell me, how does your day start? When you are an Olympic level athlete, I imagine you do not have a normal day like I have a normal day, with my coffee, then my cereal, then da-da-da-da-da. So tell me, what does a day look like for you when you're training?
I'll say at times I do train twice a day, at times once, especially those days where I'm training twice, and, my coach normally work virtually because he's in South Africa.
Okay.
Yeah, so he normally sends the program, so we have to review the day before and just see what's being required. So on my day-to-day, I normally wake up at, it depends, sometimes I can wake up at 6, hit the gym for like a couple of 2 hours, then come back home, rest, eat, then go back to the track like in the evening. And at times, depending with the circumstances, I can combine the sessions.
Okay, so every day is lifting, running, eating, everything with this goal of competition.
Yes.
So let's talk about this race that you're having with yourself to redemption, to a comeback. Take us to 2021. You are in Tokyo for the Olympic Games. Is there always a screening before a competition of all the athletes to see if anyone has, taken any substances at all? Is that a common practice?
I think it normally happens. Not everyone will be tested. Okay. Because I think it happens randomly.
Okay, so randomly. So you were tested?
Yes, I was.
Walk us through that experience. What was found? How you understood that whole situation to go down. Give us it in your words, Mark,
I think at that point when I remember I was in the physiotherapist room. I was being checked. I had an issue with my Achilles. And I remember I was being told that, I got a call. I was told that there are some people who want to come and test you. And I remember where the physiotherapist room was and where the testing room is, they weren't far. So I was like, at least I'm being tested with the high authorities. Because, we've been tested with others, not others, the ADAC, which are local. So now I was like, I've reached the caliber where I'm now being tested with guys from outside. So after being tested, and I remember it was like 3 days before my before the 100 meters, which was on a weekend. And I just took some time. Of course, I released my sample, went back to do my own thing, did my last session on a Thursday, now gearing myself up for now the event. So as I was praying and taking some time just visualizing about the race, I just felt my heart was heavy. And every time I'm praying, I just feel like my heart is really heavy and I'm like, oh God, what's not happening? You get. And then a few hours before my race, I was called by the team doctor. I was told to come to the room where all the officials normally meet. And over there were 5 others. So we were told I didn't understood what was happening, but deep down something just told me, just read your email, you get. So going through my email, I just saw a red caption just saying you've been suspended out of the competition. So at that point, my heart just sank because I'm like, I'm trying to read and understand what's happening. And now we enter the second room with just 2 officials, one of the top ADAC official. So they told me, have you read your email? I just told her like 5 seconds ago. And she just asked me genuinely, like, if I took it knowingly, there's a 3 years on the table. And if not, sample B can be tested. So deep down, I just felt like, no, I can't accept. And I was like, we have to test sample B and see what's going on. Because I don't know, because I'm just reading the word metasterone, what was found. I'm like, I've never had such a thing in my life. And my first contact, I tried to reach my wife. She was sleeping at that time. And because the time difference. Of course. And I reached my coach and he picked up fast. And at that time I was heartbroken, just trying to explain to him where this metasterone came from. So my mind was completely out of this.
Wow. And it's hours before your race.
Yes, it was hours before my race.
That I'm just trying to put myself in your shoes and how overwhelming and stunning and heartbreaking that would be.
Yeah.
When something like that happens, Are you allowed to stay around? Did you have to leave right away? What were the next few hours and days like for you?
Yeah. When it happened, actually, I was getting some calls, some messages. Of course, some messages were entering, some were being deleted because, now the news broke out and it was not supposed to get out. And some other people saw my face on the starting line, then it was being chucked out. So now the thing is, it was so embarrassing at the time because you yourself, you're also trying to figure out where this thing came from, But I think I reached a place where now, since I felt so embarrassed because I couldn't even walk outside. And I was eating at 3 a.m. where like when guys are sleeping. And it was so stressful. I even took a walk outside. It was such a big village. There were bikes outside if you want to cycle anywhere. So just took some time, cycled outside, prayed. And I'm like, God, why would this happen at this time?
Yeah.
Yes. And all the work that we've done at the last moment, it's been...
Everything's taken away.
Yes, everything's been taken away.
So you come back to Kenya after that ban. What did the officiating body originally assign as the discipline for this?
Sorry?
They originally gave you a suspension for how long?
They just told me that I was suspended. But before that, I had a hearing that I was supposed to explain myself so that I can see if I can compete. So I explained to them that, to be honest, I don't know where this thing came from. They can explain to me, especially they kind of educated me a bit on like the traces were contaminated. It's a contamination. It's something that has been found in your supplement. At least now we got a bit of headline and an edge of what to look for. And they were like, we can't let you participate. So I was just suspended for any competition, either Olympics and even after Olympics.
So when they said it was as part of your supplement, if I take supplements, I took some supplements today,
Yes.
So is there not a distinguishing, difference between a supplement that's allowed and then something that's actually an illegal substance? Help us understand that person, for those of us not in the athletic world, what's the difference in their mind or in your mind?
Because supplements are out there. There are supplements that help you boost you during training. There are supplements that help you recover. Yeah. And there are supplements that aid you in mind, bones, joints. Things like that. Vitamins. And so the supplements that I took was for just aiding me for my recovery. And that's one. And, and going back to research now after being suspended now, try and figure out now where all this can happen and even to educate the people outside about supplements. There are supplements that are tested on the side and they do have a logo. Like this is a third party tested and they're safe for you to use so that you can't fail a test in terms of contamination. But the supplement that I took, since no one told me like there's something like that, so you're just gambling by, first of all, you're searching the ingredients, just trying to check if the ingredients are bad so that you cannot be given like an ignorance, like the ingredients was there.
Right.
Yes, and you failed a test. So we did all that and we saw that, the supplement was good, but behind the scene, they do not indicate that the supplement had methasterone. If it had methasterone, I would have taken it.
Yeah, I see. Wow, what a series of, unfortunate events for you. I mean, that, like you said, the training for 7 years, getting to that moment, and then the misunderstanding of what it is that you had taken on. So you talk about being embarrassed. What was the next year or two like for you in the sporting world? Did you face stigma from your peers or your federation or your colleagues, your family? What was that like for you?
I think it was just a good thing because I didn't face any backlash. If there was, it was like, let me say 5%, but the 95% stood with me. And it was something that I understood where people are coming from and how I placed my life in front of everyone. And everyone who was typing, they were like, God will vindicate you. That was something that was ringing in my mind. Every comment that I was reading and the random text that I was getting from random people whom I don't know, they were like, God will vindicate you and we know that you didn't do it. And I remember even one of my friends, Carol Adul, she stood with me from the very day. And she was like, there's something that is off. And I think that boosts everyone to see it in a different perspective that, okay, maybe something is really off in this situation. So everyone's channels was positive, not negative.
So when you look back at those years since 2021 or 23, so the last 2 years. Is there anything you would do differently?
It was, I'll say it was challenging, both, I'll say mentally, physically, spiritually, because now everything was tested. And my faith was tested, my patience was tested, my marriage was tested. So I took each day at a time, but I was hoping now at that time, we were trying to figure out now where this methyltestosterone came from. We were sending out supplements in the States to test them, and one bottle could cost around 100,000 to test one bottle. And I was taking like five supplements.
Yeah.
You could imagine trying to do something, like trying to figure out where this thing is coming from.
Yeah, it's all of a sudden now your finances are tested.
Exactly. Even finances were tested.
Yeah.
And finally, we managed to prove it, that it came from a specific brand. And now going forward, it was now answering questions. How did you took it? Bank statement? Where did you buy the supplements? Is the shop legit? Things like that. And we managed to prove everything, and we checked every box. So it reached a point now where I was, first of all, I was even hoping that this thing would end before Commonwealth Games, because last year we had Commonwealth Games, and I was like, I don't want to miss Commonwealth Games. And eventually I was trying to tighten God's hands by making things to work according to my time.
Yeah.
But it took me months after months just trying to figure out, like, I want this thing to end now, because I know I'm innocent, but I want this thing to end now. But eventually we had a hearing last year, November, around November 11th, if I'm not wrong. And we took the case to the High Court, the case resolution. So they had our case. We had an 8-hour hearing. Wow. 8 hours hearing, sorry. And it was quite challenging. And just trying to think, especially after that hearing, we were like, do you want to go back to this sport again?
Of course.
And the good thing is that both my wife and I, we had a good community who were checking up on us every day. And even Ferdinand, my very good friend, he always he kept checking up on us, like, how are we doing? How are things, and trying to figure out now the way forward. Now, after the hearing, when we were suspended now we were banned now for 2 years, knowing that I have 7 months to go. So at least now I can figure out where I can, I'll miss Budapest, but at least I have 7 months before I'm free.
So so I can just get the timeline correct. So the original suspension was for how many years?
2 years. It was backdated back in 2021.
Okay, so that would take you up to 2023. And then you were able to take this case forward to be heard again. Yeah. And then they reduced that time limit?
In fact, it was 4 years.
4 years, okay.
Yes, it was 4 years. And now, after the hearing, now it was reduced to 2 years.
Yeah, okay. Well, congratulations.
Oh, thank you.
I can only imagine that was a massive answer to prayer and a huge relief. How did you hear that you were successful in the case and that they had reduced it? What was that day like for you?
Well, in fact, before that, I asked myself a lot of questions, like, what will I do if I get 4 years, But...
Because was that a possibility that if they disagreed with you, now they'll just maintain the 4 years or make it worse?
Because if it was 4 years, because that's what the Athletics Integrity Unit was saying, the body that we were dealing with the case before taking it to the higher court. Because I asked myself, like, what will I do with 4 years? And the good thing is that God speaks. God speaks. And every time when I read the word and it's like, I got this. Every time it's like, I just get, trust me. So during that day on the 11th, because they gave us 3 weeks so that they give us the final verdict, I kept on praying. And I remember that day before we hear that it was 2 years, I went for training. And I was I was filled with joy on that day. And I remember just using this verse in, I think, Psalm 68. If it's not 68, I'll try and check. It's summon your power. Oh God, like you did it before, do it again. So I remember that day just proclaiming that word, and I was happy. I was really happy. And my lawyer got the news first. She broke it down and then sent everything to us. And she's like, you guys, you've been given 2 years and it has been reduced to 2 years. So you have 7 months to go. and I was relieved.
That is one word to put it. I mean, I'm listening to you and I'm relieved, and I already knew that it had been lifted. So yeah. So again, just congratulations both on being able to, the tenacity to follow it through, to believe in yourself, to know that your integrity is worth fighting for. I mean, and then to successfully, I'm so glad the courts understood, or not the courts, but the Athletic Integrity Unit. Is that right? AIU?
It's AIU, and there's case resolution.
Case resolution, that they, took that in and that you won. So congratulations on that. When you think about these last 2 years, I can imagine, like you said, your faith was tested, your marriage was tested, everything was tested in this process. How did you manage to get through this season? Because it must feel very isolating when your colleagues, your coworkers are athletes. They're running, they're continuing to compete. We've come out of COVID finally. Things are starting to return to normal, but things are not normal for you. How did you manage this last season of your life?
Yeah, because it was challenging. And the thing is, there are rules when you're being suspended. You can't associate with anyone.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
So you cannot even go to the gym and be with your teammates or your...
in terms of associating, like now you're not associating with athletes.
Right.
In the gym, there are so many people doing their things. So in the gym, I believe it's a public facility that you can do anything. You can just go there, train. But now when it comes to track, because of course other athletes are training there in the morning, in the evening. So we normally go there during the midday when the scorching sun is up high. So that we just avoid to interact with them. And at the same time, I'm protecting myself. I'm also protecting them. And in the 2 years, we had a good community. Yeah, a good community in terms of you're not alone in this. So the guys that you're with, especially my church friends, they were like, you're not alone in this. And I remember both my wife and I, we are still plugged in our church, and we normally serve in a teens ministry called Club 812. So we normally work with teenagers, and at least that's something that kept us grounded, something that kept us focused, because we were just training, church life. So that's the only thing that you are trying to manage. And also, of course, at times where you just feel discouraged, where your colleagues are participating, guys are doing their level best, and you are like, I feel like I want to be there. But there's one pastor in our church told me that when God wants to use you, he'll hide you. And I remember he gave me an example like Moses. So Moses was being hidden for a while before he was being used. Yes.
I can imagine that those people, that community was a lifeline for you during that season. So when you think, kind of ahead in the next couple of months with, the Olympics on the line, and you'll have some qualifying, I guess, events before that. What would you say to other athletes, about particularly supplements, whether they're young athletes who are coming up through the Kenyan pipeline, or other East African athletes? What would you tell them that you've learned from what has happened to you?
That's a tough question. I'll tell them when it comes to supplement, it's a matter of consulting, not, because when you want to consult with someone, we need to have people who are well educated in that system. Because if you just take supplement anyhow, and then when you fail a test, it'll land on you. That's another thing. And from what I've learned for the past 2 years, I am willing to share with other people so that they might not land on where I'm at. Because I believe what I haven't had it with our local people. And if we go to the people who sell supplements and ask them for advice, they can give you advice with what they know over there. But they don't know on this other end that supplements can cause, you can fail a test. And a few months ago, I researched about just more on supplement. I realized that there are 835 and still counting supplements that are being flagged down.
Wow.
Yes. So if you go anyhow blindly just to purchase any supplement, it will land you to problems.
So education is power. Knowledge is power in this situation. Yeah, that's good advice. Probably not even just for athletes, but even for all of us, because there's now, we were joking before we started the interview that TikTok has become, our teacher, and we're taking advice from people in 15-second videos about try this, and so knowledge is key.
Yes, and I think a few weeks ago it just came to mind. I did wanted to lock myself with only athletics, and I've realized with also local people, because the thing is that any supplement that's contaminated and you're using, even though you're either an athlete or non-athlete, it will land you with health problems. That's
Absolutely.
one thing that's one thing that I've realized. Because if it has steroids and you encourage other people to use, you'll end up getting cancer, things like that.
Of course, yeah. And health is
key.
It's key. It's our wealth, truly. What else matters? What do you need to qualify now for the Olympics? What's the next couple of steps look like for you?
Well, right now, I do have a manager. That's a good thing, because races back in 2021, before I qualified for the Olympics, getting races was quite challenging. But my wife was doing the work for getting me races. At least I got more than 3 races. When you have a manager, it's so easy for them to contact the race organizers, get your race. And then now it comes to funding, because I remember 2021, someone just decided to, pay my airfare. So when I was there, it was just, my work was just flying and all.
Right.
Yeah. And right now, it's now the opposite. I do have a manager, everything is on set, but now it's the financial part, because this case drained both of us deeply. And we reached a point now, we are like, now what's next? Because it's now the financial part that's hindering us from the next. Because if I want to qualify, of course, there are local races, but I also need international races as well.
Because it's the time at the international races that are the qualifiers for the Olympics. So help us understand, when we look at the Olympics, like the opening ceremony, not just Olympics, any championship event, we see the teams coming in and the team colors with the flag. So the assumption is that the government is completely funding that experience, that they are there. Like you said, their job is to train and show up. The rest is taken care of by somewhere behind the scenes.
Yeah.
It sounds like that's not actually accurate, that there's a lot of work that actually athletes are having to do from the continent to get to these races. And we've heard those stories of athletes being stranded, not having hotels booked. So take us behind that curtain a bit and what it looks like for you right now in trying to get the funding you need to compete where you need to compete. What are the gaps that are there for you to actually be able to do that?
The thing, when the government normally comes in when you qualify for the major events like World Relays, World Championship, if it's all African Games, things like that. But when it comes to small meets that the World Athletics has organized in various countries, some in Europe, some in US, a bit in Africa. So those ones, you are the one who's funding that. And I believe, because normally we athletes want people to enter when the journey starts, like at this point.
Sure.
Yeah, not to enter when the athlete has qualified. So so the athlete will be like, we wanted the money back then, so it will help us to qualify. And seeing top athletes, just learning also from top, how much do you invest so that you become a champion? Things like that. I'll say 5 million. I've seen guys say like 5 million. For someone like Noah Lyles said that it's 5 million to qualify for, not even to qualify, to medal. Because it will require physiotherapists, it will require you to traveling allowances, insurance, things like that, paying rent locally, everything.
That's your job.
That's your job.
Yeah.
Yes. So things like that. So I'm hoping to get some hope in the near future, because I'm about to start my training for the Olympics. Yeah, and my mind is focused.
Okay, so you're going to give us a way for people to help you at the end. We're going to put it in the show notes, so if you're listening, friends, that ways that you can come behind Mark and support him, because you represent us, you represent your country, and so I hope that there'll come a day soon where athletes can do that at the same level as your counterparts in Europe and North America and beyond.
Yeah.
So I read recently also, that you were saying you went to Italy, you got the 1049, 39.
39.
Ooh, you cannot add to athletes' time. I know that is like the biggest insult. Sorry for that.
No, it's okay.
But what is it that you need? What is the cutoff at an international race for you to qualify for Olympics? What do you need to get?
For Olympics, you need to get 10 flat.
10 flat
Yes.
to just qualify.
Yeah, to qualify. It's 10
Wow.
flat. For 200, it's 21.4, if I'm not wrong.
Okay.
Yeah,
and so
21.4.
what are you're going to try for 100, 200? What else? Both. Awesome.
Yes.
Awesome.
I want to do both.
Okay, fantastic. Relay, any relay races?
Relay, if you qualify for relay as well and good, we can.
But
I'm up for anything.
okay, so let's talk a little bit about these short distances because we're both East African. I'm just your cousin from a bit north of you.
Yes.
Our countries have been known for a long distance. The Eliud Kipchoge's, the Haile Gebrselassie of the world have run these long races. No one can touch them practically. But now we're seeing our countrymen come up countrywomen as well, in these short distance races. What does that landscape look like for you?
I've seen it's a prayer answered because I remember entering now sprints professionally back in 2014. I'm like, we need to take it to another level because sprints have been overshadowed for a long time. Because every time when we travel, every time we go, it's like all eyes are on long distance and sprints, you're just being left there, be like, you'll just enter and then leave at some point. Then
well, it's only 10 seconds, Mark. I mean, we watch those other guys for 2 hours, so you guys are like, oh, it's over.
Oh, it's over. Yeah, and again, it comes to performance. So there's this stigma that, we can't reach where these people are. And the good thing is that my good friend of mine, Ferdinand, surpassed that barrier, and be like, we also have sprinters right here. It's just a matter of coaching and just a lot of stuff that we are lacking compared to the top people out there who have been doing it from high school into universities and then now entering pro. Take
us to that first race back when you are in the blocks. They call them blocks, right? Your feet are on the blocks. Yeah. Your hands are on the track. This is your first race back since the ban. What did that feel like? Like, bring us into what you were thinking, your thoughts, that very moment for you. What was it like?
Well, I was thinking of how I'll execute and win the race. That's number one thing with all athletes whenever they're there. But I think I was in shock. I didn't, because after the suspension, it normally takes quite some time before someone travels. But now mine happened now next week.
Wow, you had 1 week from
the suspension.
Success of your case to competition. Wow. But you know what I want to say to you, Mark? You were ready. You were ready. When that moment found you were ready.
Yes.
So well done for just being prepared. I think that's how God can use us when we're ready.
Yeah.
When we're found able. But back to your story. So 1 week later, you find yourself in Italy.
I found myself in Italy. And to be honest, my mind was blank because I was thinking of, I'm here, like, I'm back. I'm still in disbelief and I'm in belief that the suspension is over. And I'm like, I'm back. So what's next for this? And trying to gear up and just to start this process. Because my mind, I was thinking of what time will I run? Because I was like, let me try and do a sub 10. That's me trying to place myself in a position where I'm not yet. And at that time, because now when I ran a 10:34, then went back, asked myself, what does this mean for me, And of course, I got so many congratulations that you're back. This is your first race in 2 years. And I sat down and I'm like, no stress. And this is the mark of the journey to 2024 Olympics in Paris. And going back and I researched with other athletes who have been suspended, some more than me, some 2 years. And I realized they did the same thing, like it's normal to start where you are. And it's a build-up going forward.
Absolutely.
Yes. And I enjoyed it, especially meeting guys in Italy, language barrier. So you had to use, thank God for Google Translate.
You picked up a little Kidogo Italian while you were there?
Not really.
Not really.
Not really.
But I can just hear in your voice so much of the joy that you must feel as an athlete, as a runner. And I've read and watched some interviews that happened in 2021 after the suspension. I've read and seen some interviews that you've done now. There's a difference in you, Mark.
Oh, thank you.
Now, for sure. Tell us what that difference is and what it feels like to be Mark of 2023 as opposed to 2021.
I think Mark then was it was heavy for him. And it was he was trying to navigate, to find the answers, just to find answers. And I think at that point, he was strong, but trying to find that strength only in the Lord. And he found it. And I'll say the Mark now has been propelled by Mark then. Don't ever making sense.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So taking some time off, just thinking through the process and just thinking of what's next. And that will take a leap of faith and be like, I can't stop. The case can't define me. Let me start the journey to 2024 now. So I started the journey even without competition. And that's the strength that has carried me until up to date. Yeah. And the Mark now who's on every interview, he's light, he's at peace, and he's enjoying the next step. That's all I can say, because the next chapter that's coming, of course, will require more focus, more attention, and more, I'll say more, being more diligent and being more aware.
Yeah. So we don't know what will happen, of course, yet in Paris, or we'll definitely be cheering for you. Do you have any merchandise like a Odhiambo jersey or something we can buy? Not yet?
No.
Maybe we should make some.
Yes.
We should make some. I'll be wearing that during Paris Olympics when we're watching. But I would love to hear from you as we kind of wrap up. What do you want your legacy to be? When the people hear your name and your name is mentioned, what do you want people to remember about you?
That God never forgets his people. Yes. And that whatever that people are going through, I just want to be someone, when they look at my story, they be like, there's hope in everything. It's just a matter of time and being patient, and just there's hope there's light at the end of the tunnel.
It's interesting. Your response is not that he was the fastest 100-meter runner ever, but that you want people to remember that, to never give up, and God does not forget.
Yes.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
I think people who live in a competitive world like yours, I don't know that that's what they would say, but maybe your heart and your focus is in the right place.
Yeah, because in athletics, fame will fade away. Everything will fade away. But you have to remain steadfast with God. And that's what I want people to remember, that, yes, things didn't work out here and there. There was a speed bump at his career. But after that, what happened? Did he drop everything? But he picked himself up and moved forward.
That's all we can do.
Yes.
I'm going to take that with you. You've taught me something too. Thank you for that.
Oh, you're welcome. So
when's your next race? When can we watch you? What can we catch of your work? Your racing? Not your work. I guess it's work, but where can we catch Mark next?
In fact, next year, I believe we're having some local races, and we also have these international races. And we have World Relays, which is coming back again in Bahamas.
Oh, awesome. When is that? Is that in 2023?
Yeah, no, 2024.
2024, okay.
Yeah,
okay.
I think now the channel everything now is on next year. Yeah, because the season is almost ending. I think it's ending soon because there's the Diamond League finals. Then after that, everyone shuts. So I'm racing next year, early next year, so that I'm trying to build up for the Olympics. So there's the All African Games, there's World Relays, and I believe, there are some local races, so that's where I'll be. And I'll be posting them on my social media.
Awesome. So we'll follow you. Give us all your handles and we'll make sure to be following along. And I guess lastly, when you think about the Kenyan running legacy, how would you want you as a part of this collective team, this national team? What do you want your story to be about Kenyan runners? What do you want the world to understand about you?
I would want people outside to understand that I'll say that sprint is also coming up, and I would want us not to be forgotten. Yeah, that's the thing. Yeah. I just want us not to be forgotten outside.
That Kenyans can run short and long.
Yes.
Either way, we'll catch you. Either way, we're
and
coming.
we're getting there.
I love that. I don't know that Ethiopia's doing many sprints yet. Some? Okay. Well, you're better than me. Maybe you can point me to it, because it is exciting to see our portfolio grow. I remember that I don't think it was Tokyo, it was the one before that, Olympics before that, there was an Ethiopian swimmer. And we were all like, come on, guys, we're not a swimming nation, you know. But what was encouraging was that we can do many things. If you have the lungs to sprint, if you have the lungs to run a long distance, then there's other sports that we can be in. And so seeing that sprinting is coming up, I hope will also inspire us in other places to show up. I hear Kenya might even have a hockey team coming up, ice hockey. I don't know. I heard that. I don't know if you've heard the same.
Oh, Kenya hockey team.
I heard.
Yeah, I think they are.
Yeah, okay, good. I'm glad you're confirming this. I'm not just spreading rumors. So, Mark, we always ask our guests 2 questions before they leave because we like to find the common threads between people, no matter what their profession or their lives are. So my first question to you is, what's your favorite drink?
My favorite, healthy or?
You know, I was going to say when you're not training, but it sounds like you're always training. So let's say in the last month, what has your favorite drink been?
let me say 2.
Okay.
When I'm not training, I think this is something that it's recent. It's club soda. And then I have to put lime.
Club soda?
And I have to put lime in it. Yeah. So
you can't have club soda when you're training?
No,
too much sugar.
Too much sugar.
Aha. Okay.
So when there's no training, 1 month break, I take everything that I can before I start.
Club soda with a twist.
Club soda with a twist. But during training, passion juice.
Passion juice. Kenya does passion juice so beautifully. I would agree 100%. That's the best drink you can get. And the other thing I want to know, Mark, is what is bringing you joy in your life? Our show is all about joy and justice. So we are always curious to know what is fueling people's joy in their lives.
Marriage. Personally for me, I would say where I'm at in terms of marriage, because I realized, especially I was like, if I get, as a dude, and there's a place where I'm like, if I reach there, nimefika mahali. So I'll say marriage is bringing me joy.
Well, are you going to say who you're married to, or just the institution of marriage is bringing you joy?
I'm married to one wife.
As a hint, this is a good time to shout out the wife.
Yes, as a hint, I'm married to one wife, Stephanie, Grace, and she's been a joy to me. And it's something that marriage can expose you really well. So I've discovered myself, we've discovered both ourselves, and it's something that I've been looking forward way back years, that I'd get married at one point. And I'm surrounded with people who their marriage are working 10 years plus, for 20 years plus. And we've seen God in it, and we've placed God in the center of our marriage, and it's bringing so much joy.
Oh, that's wonderful. That's beautiful. Well, thank you so much for being here, for telling us your story.
You're welcome.
It is truly a story of redemption, and I cannot tell you how much I'll be praying for your success in Paris and beyond, and before, actually, too, because there are races before that as well. Yeah. But thank you for sharing your story. I think we have a lot to learn from everything you've walked, not just the experience that you've been through, but how you handled it is actually, for me, that's where the gold is and how you've handled and navigated the season. So you're already a champion, really, at the end of the day, So thank you, Mark, for being on Selam and Hello.
Oh, thank you so much.
So glad to have you here.
Thank you.
And listeners, send us a message, send a question you might have from Mark, or what you'd like to say to him as he prepares and hopes to represent Kenya again in the future. Tell us maybe something that you learned from his story that you will take home with you after hearing, more about his journey. We'd love to hear from you. Facebook, Twitter, Instagram @Selam and Hello. And of course, you can always email us, lily@selamandhello.com. And until we see you again, peace.
So then we say, hold on. I know it's hard, but baby,